Hey friends, this is Dolynny TV. Great to see you on a good old Monday afternoon. And oh boy, after all this quiet weeks we've had, Bob Stauffer had something to say on this fine Monday. He's probably speaking right now over on Oilers Now on 630 Ched. So as soon as you're done this, go get on the old Radio Player Canada or on the 630 Ched app and get over there and listen to what the man has to say, because I am sure on a day like today he's delivering the goods in mid-August. But we'll talk about all the goods that he delivered today on Evander Kane in a moment. A retraction from yours truly via a retraction that's already been posted by the Mutts podcast, and more coming up in a matter of moments. That said, though, I have to ask you, didn't do it last time, I will ask you right now, if you're new to the channel, please consider hitting that subscribe button here on Dolynny TV. I'd appreciate the heck out of that. And in the comments section below, you will find the channel of my good buddy Gillis TV's channel. I want you to go hit the subscribe button over there on that as well. If you could, please, that'd be greatly appreciated. My man's grinding towards 1,000 subscribers. He's about 153 away. And I know there's a bunch of you that like the Oilers talk, and the more the better. And he provides some of that. So let's get to what I've got for you today. A little bit of a faster edition for you, because I got a place to be. It'll still be a long edition, a little bit faster. Bob Stauffer today, speaking out about 7 hours ago on, well, the news of the weekend per se, on the Evander Kane update from Mutts. Obviously, the big piece was Evander Kane. Well, this is from Bob Stauffer directly today. Herein there is a very good chance that the Edmonton Oilers' Evander Kane won't be ready to start the season, that he may require surgery and is likely to be on the LTIR to start the year. So now this is contradictory to what I told you this weekend via the Mutts podcast update. I will tell you, quite honestly, as everybody in the business knows when it comes to the Oilers, Bob Stauffer, he may get something wrong at some point in the year, but he's got about a 99.5% success rate with getting the information right, because he's getting his information literally from the guys that have it. So instead of a source where it's kind of maybe secondary or whatever the case might be, or a guy who was in the room, no, this is the guy that's making the decision that tells Bob what's going on more than usual. So yeah, that's where I 100%, I think, if I'm going to flip my story, I'm going to go with what Bob's saying. It sucks to hear in a way, because it will complicate things for the Edmonton Oilers to some large degree, at least for the start of the year. It'll force a trade. That discussion over on the Oilers Fanatic, you can go check that out. But right now, this, yeah, contradictory to the Mutts podcast update. Again, though, for those of us that are Oilers fans long term, you would know that Bob is kind of the guy to listen to when it comes to news. So that is where today the news shifts from what we thought we knew on the weekend to what Bob now knows and is telling us via the great old social media outlets. So that is the update. Evander Kane likely to go on the LTIR, not ready to go for the start of the season. So that, the aforementioned Mutts update that I was going to get to, here we go. And this is exactly what I'm echoing that they're saying. Basically, as everyone knows, Bob works for OEG and his information is locked in. The explanation I just gave you. From our end, we were on the understanding that Evander Kane will be ready for the captain skates and training camp in September. Surgery was talked about after the season. Kane wanted to see how his body healed from the injuries he had this year. Things were getting better. Kane was able to do the activities this summer. At the end of the last week, our information was confirmed with the same source that told us Stan Bowman would be the Oilers' new GM on the week that got announced. Now, that's again why I ran with the story this weekend, is they were on the Bowman announcement. They were really tight to that situation. It's like, okay, you know what? Let's go. And we did more checking in on the Kane information with those close to his situation before we went public with our news on him. This is life in the industry. Sometimes things are right in the moment, and sometimes things change days later. So I dreamt up a little bit of a suggestion for you here on how to take this, how to understand this, because we live in a very right now society. And this is where me coming from an actually trained media professional kind of background, right? For those of you that know, I went to the NAIT RTA program, radio and television, back in the mid 2010s. And you do learn some ins and outs of the industry, and kind of like you sometimes learn how you have to do a retraction. You sometimes learn that things change, information changes as new information becomes available. And I think that part is easy to understand. the hard part to understand, just because there's new information available doesn't make yesterday's information incorrect, right? That's the hard part, is yesterday's information was correct yesterday based on the information available yesterday. So again, not 100% saying, hey, you know what, the Two Mutts podcast is 100% not liable for the mistake. Not saying that, because end of the day is in media, in sports journalism, in sports in general, everything, whatever, whenever you're talking, you make mistakes. We're all human. I get that. And I'm not trying to pile on them. I'm just saying we're all human and we make mistakes. I understand that part. But the kind of scenario, the explanation I have for this for you, it's a little grim. I'm a grim guy. I don't know if many of you know that. I seem pretty cheery in videos, but other than when the Oilers are 2 whatever the heck and negative 100 in the goal differential in November. That won't happen this year, I promise you. No, but again, if a news outlet reports on, say, Tuesday, January 16th, 2038, that the population of Edmonton is 1.68 million people, right? That's whatever the case might be. And overnight, a meteor strikes Edmonton, and the next morning, a news outlet reports that there's now 500,000 people living in Edmonton. That doesn't mean that 1.6 whatever yesterday is incorrect. That's the tough part about living in a media 24-hour news cycle nowadays, is yesterday's information is not incorrect because of today's information all the time. I should preface that with all the time. Sometimes yes, but not all the time, right? Yesterday that 1.6 was correct. Today that 500,000 is correct, but 1.6 is not incorrect because of today's numbers. So it's kind of tough in that scenario, and that's honestly, again, for those kind of losing their mind about this situation today of how could we be told this thing on the weekend and now we're told this, is it's very simple. You look at the trade deadline as the prime example. The trade deadline, you're in the moment getting told, hey, this guy's going to Edmonton, and then 10 minutes later he goes to New Jersey, right? That it happens. It's always going to happen. And that is kind of the situation that we're all comfortable and okay with come trade deadline time, but it's a little bit more of a sensitive spot, one might figure, when we get into this August, no news, right? There's a news vacuum. That's the term I described to Patrick from the Oilers Fanatic on the call on the way home today, just discussing kind of everything that's happened today with this news being released by Bob Stauffer. But again, you kind of look at it from that angle and you update, okay, what's going on here? And it is just situationally tough, really, at the end of the day, because yeah, you got a news vacuum. Everybody hyper focuses on a source, not necessarily like Bob Stauffer, right? I think Two Mutts is admitting that too. There's a totem pole in Edmonton Oilers land of who you trust when and where, and Bob Stauffer is at the top of you trust him all the time, every day, 365 all year, right? I think we can all agree on that. But again, we go to another source that has had a scoop before. Hey, you know what? They've got a scoop for us now when there's nothing else being reported. Yeah, let's hang on to this. And then it all shifts on the Monday afternoon, Monday morning. So it's kind of the consequences of where we are on the calendar. Again, I was talking about this the other day. I know I took some heat for it, saying we need news, whatever. And now we have this situation. But nope, now we have an official story from a member of the Edmonton Oilers entertainment group, Bob Stauffer. And now, hey, this is a story we run with until something else proves that wrong tomorrow. I'm sure that can't happen. Obviously not trying to say Bob's going to give us bad information, but you get where I'm going is we're starting to get back into the cycle of hockey on the calendar. And get ready. News is coming down the pipeline fast and heavy throughout the next few weeks. Friends, this is Dolynny TV. Thank you so much for being aboard. Like I said, comments down below. Go check out Gillis TV's channel. I want you to hit that subscribe button for now. I am up on out of here.